Hello, my name is Nicole, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I titled this message, People with Problems Coming to You. People with problems coming to you. Some of you all, you have heard a lot of audios, you have watched a lot of videos, and you have also been on numerous people's channels getting some insight as to your own personal issues. But now you have arrived to that moment where someone is coming to you with some problems that you're familiar with, as well as some that you're not so familiar with. And how are you going to address these issues from a spiritual perspective? How are you going to be able to convince someone who tells you that they don't believe in God, that they should be a better person, that they should look toward things that will help them mentally, physically, and spiritually? How are you going to be able to stand up against the one who is very angry and is threatening? How are you going to be able to deal with those dramas, the dramas that you might be familiar with, or those dramas that you just don't want to talk about due to unfamiliarity, or you simply don't want to be reminded of your past? People are going to come to you with problems as long as you walk with Jesus and you are growing spiritually. God is going to move some people to test you at some point as you are learning more and more about Him. You are going to have those aha moments where you say, now I see. Now I understand why counselors behave in the way that they behave, or why psychiatrists do what they do. Now I get it. When you think of preachers and why they have armor bearers. Come on. There are reasons as to why people do what they do, especially when it comes to counseling others, advising others, teaching others, encouraging others. When you've been at it for a while, you learn to safeguard yourself from certain conversations. You learn that everything is not worth addressing. You learn that some people's personalities will only allow them to speak and others to listen. You find out that some people are not as wise as they appear to be. You find out that some people are not as neat and clean and sweet and nice as you originally thought. This is why you do not judge books by their covers. This is why you do not assume that you know so much based on books you've read, degrees that you have, and associations that you are connected to. No, I really don't know as much as I think I do. Because someone's going to come along and the Lord is going to set it up to challenge you. Oh, they are. If you counsel long enough, teach long enough, preach long enough, encourage, and so forth, you are going to experience that 1, 2, 3, or many folks that's going to push you mentally, push you physically, and push you spiritually into places that you never thought. Sometimes I come across these individuals over the internet, and right away I can tell by the way they write their letters or the comments that they have from one day to the next that they're dealing with some double-mindedness. Others are dealing with carnality. We've got some individuals who claim to be spiritual, but they're not open to Christianity. We got some folks that are not open to anything that sounds like truth, but tell them a lie and they feel good. Okay? We got all sorts of folks who show up in our networks. And when they show up, you either are going to allow the Lord to lead you in what you are saying, or you're going to allow your flesh or your past experiences or some mood swing that you had as a result of eating something good or hanging out with somebody. And then it just might end up being a problem. You may have told someone the right thing and then they still want to do the wrong thing. You may have told the person the wrong thing because you were mixed up in whatever you were mixed up that day. Okay? And decided not to bring God along. But either way, that person's going to walk away with something, and what we are aiming for as believers is we want them to walk away being spiritually enlightened. So my conversation may start off sounding somewhat like the world, right? But then in time, you're going to feel, you're going to see, you're going to experience that, she is in fact walking with something that is not of this world. Okay? When you bring God into things, you are not going to look, appear like, or whatever it is that people assume about you in time. You might be walking like them initially, but in time, no, I've got to change some things. You might be teaching in the way that some others teach, but then you realize that, nope, the type of people that are in front of you, you've got to alter the way you teach. You find out that maybe the particular organization or the job that you have, the title that you present when you're talking to people is just no longer right for you. Okay? God does that. A lot of times the assignments that we're on are temporal. Sometimes we go into it, I guess I'm going to have to deal with this one for a long time, or I guess I'm going to be a part of this group. Well, Lord, give me the strength. And then you find out it's only a moment. It's only a day. It's only a week. It's only a year, or it's just a few months that you're dealing with someone or that group. Okay. But there's something to be learned. There is something to be learned. There's something to be noted. There's something to turn whatever it is that you've been struggling with, the confusion, the research that got halted, the projects that were challenging. There was something to be learned. That's why I got taken out of this environment and now I'm in this one, or that is why I'm no longer on this particular website, but I'm working with this group. Or, so many people got so many stories of how God just changed their atmospheres. And some people have just given up much because God told them that you are no longer going to live in this community. You are no longer going to work out of this city. You are no longer going to be connected to these people. I got something bigger and better for you. Sometimes it's not bigger and better. Sometimes it's something that's going to humble some folks because they're very prideful, you see, and they've been prideful, conceited, vain, whatever you want to say. They've been this way for many years. And so what goes up comes down. Practices come to an end. People end up being banned from some groups. Others end up losing much money. Because you can only believe yourself to be God for so long before the Lord himself shows up. And then some folks, their eyes are bucked. Okay. They're shaking in their boots and they realize they done tripped up on someone or something. And now I'm not a God. Oh no. I thought I was, there really is a God. All these years I thought that he didn't exist. And they start shaking in their boots. They start realizing that, those believers, they are right. There is something bigger and better and greater than my little self. Absolutely. And that one who brought us on this planet via an act between a mother and a father, or for some folks via a test tube. But either way, that God shows himself strong sooner or later. So when these people show up, sometimes you got those mystery shoppers, if you will. These mystery shopper kind of Christians. These are the ones that are testing some folks. These are the ones that either they are planted by men or women, or they are planted by Jesus Christ himself. And they show up and there's really nothing wrong with them. They just want to see if you know what you're talking about. They want to see if you're going to do some research. They're going to see if you're going to talk somebody off a cliff, or you're going to tell that person, don't jump off the cliff. They want to see if you're whack, you see. Sometimes people pass the test with flying colors. Other times they do not. Sometimes you get the feedback later on and you find out that someone is telling you that, well, here, this information is what you need. Oh, by the way, check this video out. And then you realize, well, this person really didn't need my help. Exactly. They were just testing you. Sometimes people will put their families up to testing some folks before they choose to do business with you, before they reach out to you. Can you just go over there and talk to so-and-so and see what they tell you, and then come back and tell me a thing or two? Sometimes the family members don't even know. They don't have a clue that this is what's going on. But sometimes that's just what's taking place. So these are things that I just felt like I needed to share with some of you all, because you are licensed professionals, and some of you others are not licensed, but you are helping people within your family. You are helping people over the internet, like myself. You're helping individuals who you encounter when you're out there on the mission field, or when you're in the church or outside of the church. And so just being reminded that God is going to do some things, okay, that will shake you up a little bit at times, that will test your faith. He will do some things to move on your spirit in such a way where you give the kind of advice that comes from a spiritual perspective and not necessarily a worldly one. There will be times where you may even have to share some personal experience as the Lord leads. This doesn't happen all the time. Most teachers, counselors, preachers, so forth will not share their personal stories with individuals, because it's not about them. It's about you. When you show up, for some of you all who are reaching out to some people and you say, how come she never tells me anything about her weaknesses? I mean, I know she has them because she's not feeling moved to, or because the Lord has specifically told her not to, because you got some weaknesses going on within you. And rather than focus on your healing, you'll focus in on all of her faults. And then for some people, they don't mind bringing your faults up later on. Let me tell you, you went through drinking, didn't you? You told me that. You were a drunkard. You were an alcoholic, weren't you? See? So some folks are not going to give up all the details of their lives, no matter how much some of these critical folks, difficult types, want them to. No, we're not. We're just here for you. What do you need? Okay. What do you want me to do? Oh, you want me to pray? Okay, we'll pray. You want me to what? Write a prescription, a doctor or a psychiatrist or some other professional says? Oh, okay. You want me to do what? You want me to sit down and just listen to you today. Okay, that's just what I'll do. Okay. And sometimes you have individuals who, they may know this, they may not. You might be one of them, have all sorts of different personalities. Today you're happy, right? Bubbly, cheerful. And then the next thing you know, something happens and then you feel like you're ready to do something crazy to someone. Okay. And along comes that woman or man of God who shows up, or you go to them and they say, this is not the time, this is not the place, this is not the season, and God has given you grace. Okay? And you will either come up out of that situation thinking differently, or for some folks, they're so far gone by the time they do get to some help that they end up doing something. And we do not allow that to swallow us up mentally, spiritually, and physically. We do not. People are going to be people. They have the right to do whatever they want. They have the right to live. They have the right to die. They have the right to do a whole lot of stuff, good, bad, and otherwise, because God gave all men and all women and children free will. Okay? So we try to lead people away from demonic activities and, dark thoughts and crazy stuff that they have concocted in their minds and so forth. But if they choose to continue to go through with it, that's on them. We just pray and we hope that we can get through to the next person and the next person. But I tell you, God, He is a good God, and He has not given all of you all this intelligence, the wisdom, the associations, the degrees, the research, the supportive team, and all of that just to throw it away. No. But the enemy will come up with all sorts of ways to get you to stop ultimately helping people, right? And then what he wants is for you to be killed, your ministry or your work to be destroyed, or if some have a portal to the demonic, they will open themselves up to all sorts of activity. And is that what you want? I think not. Some people got way too many folks that they're dealing with to the point where they feel like they're cracking up. And if that's the case, then you need to spend more time with the Lord and not more time with the people. You talk to some folks and you let them know, listen, I can't do this any longer. I'm burnt out. I don't see where I am of any help. I can barely help myself. I am stressed, worried, fearful. I'm watching my back. I got this, I got that, and these individuals who are going through this sort of thing, you go to the Lord and you ask the Lord to take this burden from you. And I will tell you, God will do it. He will do it. So that is it. I thank you as always for taking the time out to listen. Blessings to you. Be encouraged for those of you all who continue to fight this good fight. And for those who are simply burnt out with it all, please do check my audio that deals with being burnt out. Christians burnt out. Okay. You can put that phrase in the search engine for my channel, not the general YouTube search engine, but the one specifically for my channel, and it should come up. All right. That is it. Please do check the description box for anything that might be of interest. You've been listening to YouTube NM Enterprise 7. Subscribe today. And also, if you haven't given, we do welcome donations. So please do give. Thanks again, and blessings once again to you.